So there's an issue ongoing with the Blackstars, which I describe as the captaincy chaos. In just 6 months after Otoado permanently took over the team, he's already appointed three captains. Now, this doesn't include other people who've worn the armband on the pitch. Now, it makes it for an interesting look because we've come from a period of fair stability up until now. If you follow the Black Stars captaincy, the armband and who has worn it over the years, it's been pretty clear on who the captain of the team is. We knew at a point it was John Mensah, before that there was Stephen Appiah, and then Asamoah took it from 2012 to 2019, and then from 2019 it's been Andre Ayew. When it comes to the captaincy issue, it's always been more maybe the issues have come when it had to do with the transitioning of who's captain, and that's what's been prominent over the years, but it's never been in doubt who the captain is. And I think for the first time in a very long time we're experiencing that with the national team. What we do know is that the previous hierarchy that was established in 2019, Andre Ayew as the captain, Thomas Partey as the vice, and then Richard Ofori as the second vice, that seems to have crumbled up a bit per what we've seen. And it looks like there's a need for further direction. Now, I say this because the captain is arguably one of the most important people in a team. I think he's a reflection of the coach. He's a reflection of what the coach believes in, his values, and the philosophy that he wants to play. And so that's why it's important that Otoado comes clean on this. And there's clarity for the team, there's clarity for the public, and I just feel it's at a time where there's so much uncertainty breeding around the team that this just adds to it unnecessarily. We're uncertain whether we'll qualify for the next AFCON, the next World Cup, even when the next Ghana would win a game, we're not sure. Those are external factors. Internal factors like captaincy, I don't think is something that there has to be doubt over. Let me cast your mind back over to when Otoado came fresh. That was in March. He was appointed as permanent coach. But remember, in that March international window, he hadn't left Dortmund yet. And so essentially, we would give him a pass because he was still moving out of that Dortmund mood. And he had officially left the role, which he would in June, July. And so he comes in March, and Andre Ayew was called. Jordan Ayew was called. Andre doesn't start the game against Nigeria. Jordan is made captain. Andre comes on in those friendlies, Nigeria, Uganda, he picks up the captain armband. And so the assumption that we have is that Andre is the captain of the Blackstars, but Jordan to some extent is also part of the leaders because he wore the armband. And then we realized that when Partey came back for the World Cup qualifiers against Mali and Central African Republic, he wore the armband, which was fair because remember from the previous hierarchy, it's Thomas Partey who was the vice captain anyway. Now in August, leading to the international break, in the next when the Premier League started, all the leagues started, leading into the first international break of the season, Otoado is asked that who is your captain, and he says that first of all, I hope that Thomas Partey doesn't fall sick or gets injured, and then goes on to add names like Salisu, Jiku, Kudus. All of them could step into that role. And I don't know whether it was an issue of fate. The following international window after that one, what we do see is that now Partey calls him that he's ill, and so he cannot play for that upcoming international break. What do we see? Kudus comes in as captain. He says that he wants to create an environment that would see young players criticize senior players on the pitch when the match is being played. So he was aiming at a level playing ground, perhaps his decision to give it to a younger player like Kudus. But remember, in all of this, when he was saying that Partey doesn't get ill, he never mentioned Jordan Ayew. When he mentioned Salisu, Jiku, Kudus as the vice captains, he never mentioned Jordan Ayew. And then when he also appointed Kudus, Jordan was in the team, but he never gave him the armband. Now Kudus becomes captain for the first time. Ghana fails to beat Sudan twice, loses the second game actually, and all of a sudden there's trouble all over, there's pressure all over. What does Otto do? Instead of defending his decision that he made, he goes back and gives it to Jordan. The same person that wore the armband first from March, had been in the squad from September, October, and now November. all of a sudden he appears in the captaincy. So the question now is, what has changed? He was never in your list, so why is he captain now? What have you seen? And I just feel you don't have to be volatile with something like this. It's really important that you're clear on who your captain is. I have no issues with who Otto wants to choose as captain. He can choose absolutely anyone, but he has to be bold and stick with him. Whether in the good or bad, your captain is going to be there for a whole era. You say that, Otto, that you've come in and you're going to establish a younger core of a Black Stars team. You're building a team to host 2026 World Cup and all of that. The first step to that is to choose a leader that would represent how you want the team to look, how you want the team to act. You say you want a responsible captain, a committed one. Do you keep changing captains because you're not seeing that? And does that mean that whoever is selecting them is not selecting right? Because if you keep on changing because you're not seeing these features, then it means that there's also question marks on whoever is selecting the captain, because that means that he's not going according to the marking scheme that's being provided. And I just think that, yeah, it's something that we can continue to ignore, that, oh yeah, after all, it doesn't matter and all of that. But look at the successful countries all across the world. France decided to give Mbappe the armband in 2023, made Griezmann assistant. Yes, there was controversy, but what they do, they stuck with it. You have to be bold and defend your decision. If you choose whoever you want to choose as a captain, then you go along with it. And I'm fine with it. But now, up until March, there's still some uncertainty, because what did Otto say? That it's temporary. This Jordan appointment is all temporary, and we would see what happens. But that's not the case. Just like 2019, the Ghana Football Association, the technical team, have to sit down and name the 3 captains. So we put this issue to bed once and for all. Who are your 3 captains? It's very, very important that this is established so that the Ghanaian national team can move into the next era.